Which of the following is an assumption on which the argument depends? What is the argument? The argument is, if income per capita keeps increasing while bean production cannot grow, Tyrannia will need to import beans, lard, or both. Why do they say that? Consumption of lard per capita is increasing toward average as Tyrannia's income per capita is increasing toward average, and producing 1 pound of lard requires multiple pounds of beans. So, if the argument goes, if people's income keeps increasing and people keep then consuming more lard, which requires multiple pounds of beans per pound of lard, they're going to need to import beans, lard, or both. We need a reason why that would be true. Basically, since this is a prediction about the future, the assumption is that this is really what's going to come to pass. Let's look for that. A, there will be no sizable decrease in Tyrannia's aggregate land allocated to growing beans. There's nothing about land allocation in this one, so this is not an assumption that the argument depends on. B, since the shootings stopped and incomes grew, and Tyrannia's population has stayed practically unchanged. Population outside the scope of the passage. C, in Tyrannia, consumption of lard per capita is practically equal across all income levels. Consumption across income levels is not a factor either. That's beyond the scope of the passage. D, the price of neither lard nor beans is subject to controls by Tyrannia's government. Price controls, not a factor in the argument. So this leaves us with choice E as the assumption. It must be, but why? It says Tyrannian people who increase consumption of lard will not drastically reduce consumption of beans. So this is an assumption on which the argument depends. If the people who were consuming lard suddenly drastically reduced consumption of beans, they would not necessarily need to start importing beans, lard, or both, because they would still have enough beans to produce lard domestically. So this is an assumption that the status quo will not suddenly change dramatically. That's the assumption a lot of times in predictions, that basically nothing's going to change that will cause my prediction to fail. If people did suddenly reduce their consumption of beans, this prediction would not come true. So choice E.